Portions, and I am muted here. So welcome this evening here. We are doing some live storms coverage. I apologize there, my mic was muted, but we're going to be talking about a massive winter storm here that is going to be making its approach into the portions of south central to western Pennsylvania, as well as down into areas like West Virginia, Maryland, Northern Virginia, and other places. So we're going to be pulling up some information on that here and just kind of discussing that here this evening. I know this doesn't have anything to do with Myrtle Beach, but we want to make sure that we're addressing several other areas because there's nothing going on here in Myrtle Beach. So we are going to talk about that here this evening. I'm just getting some maps ready here for you guys to view, and we will go from there. But if you haven't done so yet and you're watching us on YouTube right now, please be sure to subscribe to our feed. That would be awesome if you guys can subscribe to our feed and follow us on our channel here on YouTube as well. We would love you guys to follow along here this evening. This is our first live storm coverage here that we're bringing under our new platform, and we're super excited to bring that to you. So we're going to switch over here to our radar view here, and we're going to go over a few things here. So not only are we going to be seeing an ice storm in portions of zoom in here, West Virginia, Virginia. These chances here to see some pretty high amounts of ice accumulation here between Wednesday into Thursday morning. These are going to be the overnight hours. We're also watching this area of marginal risk for severe weather along the warm sector of this low pressure system. So we are going to have a minor warm sector. So what's happening is right now we have a very linear flow coming across the country, okay, as far as the jet stream goes. So the jet stream's coming across the country. Typically what you see during winter patterns is this kind of up and down kind of stroll. So if we were going to mark this out, the jet stream would be dipping and coming up and going out like that. Okay, so instead what we're seeing is that linear flow, almost essentially east or west to east, okay, and that's flowing through this way, okay. But what we got here is we've got a lot of trapped cold air up here in the northeast area of the country, okay. So follow along here. So that trapped cold air is going to be introduced to that warm air, that flow that we're seeing here today. That warm air is coming up out of the south all up into this area up in here. So this is going to converge here. You're going to have an area of convergence between the cold air and the warm air. This is bringing a lot of moisture out of the south up with it. So what we're going to see here is we've got this cold line that's going to kind of extend down through parts here like this. That's going to be your 540, okay? So your 540 is your freezing line. So the freezing line is going to extend down slightly, and parts around that and parts above it. So chances of these areas up here into northeastern portions of Pennsylvania up into New York, chances are any precipitation that they're going to see is going to be snow. Here in this area here, the chances are where you're going to get that mixture, okay, that mixture of ice, sleet, ice, and freezing rain, essentially. So when we talk about the freezing rain risk here, we are talking about a pretty significant risk of freezing rain to the point where you're looking anywhere from a quarter of an inch to maybe in some places a half an inch of ice at that point. So we want to pay attention to these areas here in West Virginia. If you're in the Romney, Cumberland area, Winchester, Maryland, all the way into portions of Chambersburg, Pennsylvania, and so on and so forth. Up into, let's see, we got up into Altoona. We're out into Somerset, Pennsylvania. This here is a moderate risk here. So this moderate risk area right in here, this little moderate risk area, they're definitely looking for some massive accumulations of ice. This is 0.25 inches or greater, so a quarter of an inch or greater. That's where you're looking at maybe those half an inch of ice there. So that's going to be encompassing the areas of Shanksville, Berlin, Garrett, Meyersdale, Salisbury, down into portions of West Virginia and Maryland. You got Frostburg, Maryland in there as well. So we want to be very, very cautious in these areas when you're talking about a significant icing like this. Roadways, bridges and overpasses and things like that could become very unsafe. You're talking about a quarter to a half an inch of ice on power lines. So we're expecting to see some massive power outages in this big giant area here, but especially in this portion here, we definitely expect to see some massive power outages at that point. So as we're going to cover the ice portion of this first, and then kind of focus our attention there on the tornado risk. So as we go through this, we'll pull up the models here, and we're going to go to regional. We're going to go to the NAM. So let's see what the NAM's bringing us here as far as this is going to be precipitation types. So let that load here real fast. Let's look at timing here. So tomorrow this will be, you can see the leading edge of that starting and moving up this is 11 a.m. and Somerset looks to get a little bit of snow here. Looks like you're starting out. These areas may start out as some snow as you have some cooler temperatures. And as you move into the afternoon and evening hours, you're going to be looking for that transition. So you can see the snow here moving this way here to the northeast. And eventually, very quickly, that is going to transition over to the freezing rain. It's probably snow to sleet to freezing rain at that point. But as we move forward throughout the day, by 10 p.m. overnight hours, you can see this freezing rain. You got a little bit of sleet here. Freezing rain and sleet have pretty much taken over. So we have sleet here, or freezing rain here, so a little bit of sleet here, and eventually all completely moving over to rain or freezing rain at that point, and then eventually maybe some spotty areas of rain as those warmer temperatures kind of converge in on this area here. But we are looking, just paying attention to this area. I may have another video here coming very soon for Saturday. Saturday looks to be another potential setup just like this setup here. We can look at that on the GFS here in a little bit. But the significant icing here, we are looking at pretty significant accumulations of ice, and we can kind of pull some of that up here. So let's pull freezing rain, and let's go through. We're just going to run this out through the 7th. Okay, so this will be out through the 7th. And if we pull up our little you're looking almost a little over a quarter of an inch there in Altoona. Get down into Johnstown, Pennsylvania, you're looking at about a half an inch of ice there. Down into Somerset, a little over a quarter of an inch as well. Getting out into the Chambersburg, Pennsylvania area, just about a quarter of an inch. So, we're talking about a very significant amount of icing, even over here into portions of Reading, Pennsylvania, looking at a little over a quarter of an inch. Let's hone into my friends here in Lancaster. There's almost a quarter of an inch there, and that's going to be the Lampeter Strasburg area. My stepdad lives over here in a little tiny town called Maytown. Let's zoom in here and see if we can find something for him here. The little town of Maytown. So he'd be looking at 0.14 inches, so a little less than a quarter inch of ice at that point. Very significant ice event for Pennsylvania here. So freezing rain is nothing to joke about. I'd rather see snow if I was in these people's shoes up here. Let's zoom out here. You can see the tons of ice coming across the country here. I mean, if we mark this out, you've got a massive area of ice that could potentially be accumulating here over the next 24, 48 hours in these portions of the country. So this is a very large storm. It is moving rather quickly. This is going to be happening in a very short amount of time, but definitely not something we want to discard by any means. And that's why I thought it was important, since I have friends and family all over the country, that we would specifically, my family is in the Pennsylvania area. So I wanted to do a live tonight specifically for those folks. And I know a lot of folks down here in Myrtle Beach are transplants from the Northeast, Pennsylvania, Maryland, New York, New Jersey primarily. So let's cover some of those things up there in those portions of the country as well. So, we want to be careful and watch that freezing rain risk up there. Now, for those of you that have friends in Bowling Green, Clarksville, Nashville, all the way up to portions in Danville, and Madisonville, all the way down to Jackson, Tennessee, that marginal risk for severe thunderstorms. Also, the big thing that we're going to be focusing on here is the tornado risk. So we'll go to day 2 in the tornadoes. We'll zoom out here. You can see this area here. We're looking at a 2% risk of tornadoes. Not saying that tornadoes are definitely going to happen, but the conditions are definitely going to be presented there in this area, as well as outside of this area as well. But the actual 2% risk exists if you're in Nashville, Danville, Campbellsville, Bowling Green, those areas, definitely Lexington, Tennessee. You can definitely expect to see some pop-up severe thunderstorms, supercell severe thunderstorms capable of producing tornadoes at that point tomorrow. We can take a peek at the NAM and see what the supercell composite. Let's look at tornado parameter here as we move through. Let's come bring this back. So if you look here, tomorrow, the tornado parameter increases as the day kind of goes on, and you get into that Nashville area. Let's inspect that here. We're looking at about a 1 here on the scale here. So minor risk, like I said, very, very small risk. 1 is definitely not a high number when you're talking about significant tornadoes. But if we want to look at supercell composite here, and then we'll take a look at the reflectivity, what that might look like with the supercell composite. 4.8 is pretty high there for that risk of supercell thunderstorms as well. So we definitely want to keep our eye on that area as we kind of move through the next 24 hours, get into about 7 between, let's run this out here. So the hours of 7 p.m. and into the overnight hours is when we're going to be really watching for those chances of severe weather in those areas, in this area, this highlighted area right here of Tennessee and Kentucky as well. So 2 states covered in this 2%. So definitely want to keep our eyes out in those areas in the overnight hours. The problem is here, this is going to be a nocturnal storm. So if any tornadoes are going to produce in this area, looks to be unfortunately in the overnight hours as we move through. So we're going to keep that. We're going to keep that area. I may come on tonight and do a live radar feed for this throughout the evening and just let that play. So we'll see how things play out tomorrow. Once I can look at the surface maps in the morning and kind of get an idea of what this is lining up to look like, we will definitely keep you posted on this as well. So that's pretty much all I have here tonight for this coverage here. We want to keep people aware of what's going on around the country. Let's pull up here real quick. I will pull up what the radar might look like in that area tomorrow. We'll go back this up here. And this is what the radar might look like according to the NAM as we move through the day, morning hours, not a whole lot of anything going on. And as we get into that 3-4 p.m., we've got some discrete supercells here looking like they're going to work through. Nothing in a linear format. So these are, this is where you get that chance of that tornado risk. And this is what they're looking at here as we move through. So here looks like we got a good chance of some severe weather there. That's going to be around 5 p.m. So the 5 to between 5 and 1 a.m. looks like to be that chance of severe weather as we kind of move through. Now let's take a peek real quick at the winter weather here. This is a kind of a double-edged storm here, depending on where you're at with that freezing line. So as we look through here, we go through the afternoon, you can see that where that freezing line might be. As we move through the day, you can watch that freezing rain. So it's kind of crazy to think it's crazy to think that we're battling tornadoes and severe weather down in this area. Meanwhile, we've got an ice storm up here just a little bit further to the north. And that's all because of that linear flow that we have coming across the country, keeping that polar vortex a little bit more stationary up here, up towards Canada and up into Canada. So that's just barely allowing some of that leading edge of that cold air to kind of work its way down through. So pardon my scrambled mess there, but definitely got a pretty solid freezing rain line here. Meanwhile, we have the tornado risk down in here into Nashville. So we're definitely going to keep an eye on this over the next 24, 48 hours. But we will definitely be back tomorrow with some more information as things go. It may be a post, or I may come on and do a live stream on that as well. So we will keep an eye on that as things develop here over the next 24 hours. If you have friends and family in the Nashville, Bowling Green area, just keep them on a high alert and have them tune into Myrtle Beach Aware for any additional updates. Like I said, we may do live radar coverage on that as well, just to keep people safe, as well as these areas up into Pennsylvania, West Virginia, Maryland, Virginia as well, extending into Ohio. I have some friends just outside of Columbus, Ohio, that I want to keep updated on the ice as well. So be sure to tune in tomorrow to our Facebook page for regular updates. We will have that information out for you. If you have friends and family that have questions, please send them our way. Our messages are always available 24 hours a day, and we look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow with another update. Keep on our Facebook page. Like I said, if you haven't done so yet, please subscribe to our YouTube page for live videos and updates as we kind of move through the rest of this storm and into the next one, which I believe is going to be Saturday. So we're keeping an eye on that. We're still a couple days out from there, finalizing that forecast as well. So we will be back tomorrow, and I appreciate you guys following up with us tonight and following along. Thank you.